Good morning, beautiful people, wherever you are in the world today. I would like to thank you for joining us for another episode of A Crystal Clear Mind. And today I have the blessing of having a beautiful guest on. This is Dr. Isla Fishburn. Morning, Isla.
Oh, hi Bex. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, my lovely. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, really, really well. It's so lovely to be here.
Oh, it's lovely to have you as well. So, Dr. Isla Fishburn is a really fascinating guest speaker, but she's just a fascinating person in general. So, you're going to describe yourself because I feel that you would be better at describing yourself, as all my guests are, but purely because you are just another beautifully multifaceted, multi-skilled, multi-talented, multi-dimensional guest speaker that I think I'm going to hand the reins over here and let you tell the world what you're all about, my lovely.
Thank you so much. Hello, welcome everyone that is listening in, wherever you may be in the world, whatever time, space, dimension that may be. Yeah, my share, my story, my life to you is my connection with the animal kingdom, our animal friends, and all their beautiful, incredible wisdom that they are helping us to remember, that they're supporting and guiding us into, whether we coexist with dogs or cats or horses or lizards or gerbils, whatever it may be. There's this concept, what I speak about, where our animal friends haven't left sacred, and we are the only life form that has left sacred. These sacred landscapes where we have an awareness of everything is alive. So this has come to me from a really, really early age where I always just understood that everything was alive. I always welcomed the stones, the clouds, the waters, the plants, the trees, the wild animals that I would see. And not that I had anything back in that time, but I just had this recognition that everything is alive. I am part of something bigger. I am connected to
Yeah.
something big. And that kind of took me into this journey of wanting to be a conservation biologist. And that's kind of like my academic background in zoology, conservation biology, ecosystem services. And that's how I see life, that me as Isla, as a physical being, I'm an individual ecosystem that is connected to a wider ecosystem as a whole. So I am stitched and etched into this ecosystem that also has its own consciousness. And so our animal friends really are an expression of source consciousness itself, just as we are. But with the concept, like I've shared, that they haven't left this sacred space, they haven't left this sacred ground. And as an ecosystem that I am, as an ecosystem that we all are, there's like this longing. And as humans, it's like, oh, this longing, or the longing is the rest that I need from work, or the longing is a different type of job, or the longing is a different relationship, or the longing is just something to look forward to. But
Yeah.
the longing is this deep, deep, deep soul longing of our soul calling us back to sacred, that we were separated from something that our own being in some way knows that we are part of, that we are connected to, that we can and are in communion with plants and trees and soils and mushrooms and starlings and stars and galaxies. It's just that we have been programmed and taught and told and conditioned to live our life very differently, from a place of that our animal friends are going, no, 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 we're bringing you back into sacred ground in the way that we walk with you. And this became really apparent to me when, so I finished my PhD. I wanted to be a wolf conservation biologist. And so I was reading absolutely everything about wolves, everything from biology to mythology to symbolism to like medieval histories and stories
God,
about,
there's so much about wars as well, isn't there? Literally throughout
yeah,
history and storytelling, there's so much on them as well.
yeah. And,
Yeah,
and
it is fascinating.
it really is, from the beauty of just their behavior, but
Mhm.
also the concept of there's this belief that they were the first animals that taught us how to sing that I just find so, so beautiful.
Oh, wow.
One of the animals that taught us about community and living and, yeah, just some really beautiful teachings. And so during that time, I went off to work with captive wolves. And it was during that time where the wolves taught me so much just about showing up every day, like being connected to land, being connected to nature, just being present. Um, and I started to speak to many, many people that would come and visit the wolves that typically would have dogs, because most people love wolves that have dogs, can't have wolves because you can't have a wolf in your house. And so the next best thing was a canine friend, a dog. And they would kind of come and visit me. And yet the conversations they were having about the wolves that they were seeing, admiring, was so different to then how they were sharing their conversations with me about the animal friend that they live with through their dog. And it was almost oh God, this majestic animal I really respect, I really revere. I know they hold so much grace, so much presence, so much power. And then during the conversation, we'd end up getting about their dog at some point, and they'd be sharing, oh, but my dog has to do what I say, or my dog has to do this, do that, can't do this. And it really made me feel suffocated, like almost strangled, of like, wow, but our dogs are also these beings. Our animal friends, regardless of whether they're wild or domestic, are sacred beings. And it made me realize that this is the sadness, this is the longing, that we have been domesticated. And within our domestic being, we're longing for that wildness and wilderness that our animal friends that we have domesticated have not forgotten. They've not been removed from, no matter what it is we try and do or get them to do or tell them to do. They're like, hey, just come back to sacred. Come back to knowing and believing who you are. Come back to knowing that you are good enough. Come back to believing in yourself and that you never did anything wrong, and being with the sorrows that your own being carries. And so in spaces where actually we may not trust a human, we always trust an animal, we always trust an animal friend, because they see us without judgment. They see us
Yeah.
without shame. They see us without blame. They see us without, oh, are you wearing that colour? That colour doesn't really suit you, or you should be a little bit bigger, you should be a little bit smaller, you shouldn't really wear that makeup. They just go, wow, I see you also as a sacred being. And so I
Mm.
kind of have been on this journey in my own deep work as like a spiritual ecologist, a soul activist, a shamanic practitioner, a medicine teacher, where our animal friends are leading us to sacred ground in their life, right through into their transition. That also includes our grief. Their transition is also sacred. It is a part of life. Our grief is also sacred. And what I realize as programmed domestic beings that are actually sacred ecosystems, part of a greater cosmological ground, that we are not being given these teachings, these medicine ways, these sacred teachings of how to be with our animal friends in life, how to be
Yeah.
with ourselves in life, and also how to be around the sacred that is transition and that is grief, that really pulls us into ceremony. We are, as sacred beings, ceremonial beings, and what is missing from our life is not only our connection to sacred, but our connection to ceremony. This part that speaks to the soul that we are, this part that speaks to the sacred that we are, where we are supposed to be in community, we are supposed to be in circles, we are supposed to be with these hard, turbulent spaces and times, in these deep, intimate intensity with what we are feeling, with really how noisy our thinking mind is, so that we can come back into our sacred animal body, that we can feel from our soul. And this is the place that our animal friends are living from. Our animal friends are not living from the thinking mind of, am I good today? Am I liked today? What do I need to do to be accepted or approved? And so all the while, when we are coexisting with an animal friend, this is what they're sharing with us. This is what they're bringing us back to actually lead us into what I call soul work. And soul work really is leading us back to those spaces that, for me, I call it a charge. It can be a trigger. It can be a wound. It can be a trauma. There's this beautiful phrase by Michael Meade. He calls it the 3 layers of the human experience. So he said the 3 layers of the human experience. The first layer is the social layer, the pleasantries. I'm going to see you today, Bex. And be like, oh,
Yeah.
how are you? How are the kids? How are the family? Are you going to that event at the weekend? Great, I'll see you there. It's the pleasantries, the social layer. The third layer is making contact with soul, making contact with sacred. But in order to get to the third layer, we've got to go through layer 2. And layer 2 is the grueling dark, painful bits that nobody wants to go to. It's
Yeah.
the blame, the shame, the judgment, the grief, the guilt, the anguish. Am I good enough? Did I do a good job? Am I liked? It's all these hooks, these pins that were placed into us that as soul work, as triggers, as charges, as traumas, we are asked to explore and look at a pace and a dance and a navigation that is right for each and every one of us as individual ecosystems, because how we are, the things that we faced as life experiences, how deep they have been, the things that we carry from past lives, from ancestry, is all bundled up like a weave within us anyway. And this is what we're here to explore, but so beautifully with our animal friends that are pulling us into the space of sacred. And so we're really good as humans of looking at things outside of us. This animal, this person did this to me because I'm now feeling something. And now I'm angry at that, or I actually feel shame, or I feel guilt, or whatever it may be. But I don't know how to be with that. I don't know how to feel it, or I'm not even registering that I am feeling it. So I'm blaming something outside. You need to change. You need to be different. You need to do something, or I need to change you. And it's not even about changing or fixing or doing something different. It's about catching that charge. And to begin with, it's really, really hard to do. It's really difficult. And so I always say to people that come to me that the first victory is a recognition, because the recognition is a huge
Yeah.
victory.
That's a
Before
huge step forward, isn't it? Like, that's a massive one.
we weren't even, to be beforehand, not even recognizing it. And now we're recognizing it. It might be
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. Like it's spiky and it's got teeth and, oh, that's okay. Like that's the next step. But let's just recognize, get that charge of like, oh, this person said something, this person looked at me funny, my animal friend did this, and I'm telling them like they can't do this or they shouldn't do that. But that it all comes from within. Something that is happening from without that is creating something from within, this charge. It's catching the charge. It's like, we throw balls for our dogs, and it's like the dog catches the ball and throws it back at us and goes, no, you look at this now. Like you look at it, you look at yourself. And we don't want to, right? Because we're told
Mm.
already you're already a bad person, or there's already something wrong with you, or you're not good
Yeah.
enough. Like, don't look at me because you're going to find yet another flaw. But our animal friends are like, no, no, sweetheart, there's no flaw. There was never any flaw. There was never anything wrong with you ever. It was just the communities, the circles the spaces that we were placed in, because they are in their own programming from that place of there is also something wrong with me. So I'm going to put it onto you as well, because that makes me feel better. And so, like I share, our animal friends are really bringing us into this space of sacred ground with all of life, to really hear not knowledge and intellect. That comes from the thinking mind. Knowledge and intellect comes from the thinking mind, which as humans, that's our gift, that's our
Yeah.
skill. We really have this beautiful ability when it is um, entrained with the heart. And that of the heart is the intelligence and wisdom. And that's what all of life has. Our animal friends have this intelligence and wisdom that we can connect to, that we can feel, that we can hear, that we can know of when we start to coexist with them from this place of the more than human. It's like our animal friends are a chocolate Labrador isn't running around the streets going, oh, I wish I was that blackbird and I wish I could fly. Like as humans, all the things that we say we want to be, we wish we were, rather than like, wow, this is Isla. Like I can't be anything else because if I was, I would be. So who is Isla? What is Isla? What is my sacred? What is the totality of myself, of all that I carry? My charges, but all that I carry is an intergalactic being that has been many things with my animal friend, that is connected to sacred, that can hear messages from the soil, that can hear the song of the stones, that can meet my ancestors and the wisdom that they bring me in my life for what I'm carrying, for what I'm enduring. And this is the kind of space that I'm in now with people and their animals, of getting us to see our animal friends as expressions of source consciousness. That, yes, they are in a physical body and we do our due diligence because it's only respectful and right and good manners to support them in the way that we can, but all the while knowing they haven't left this sacred soil. that they are still connected to the stars, to the planets, to the light beings, to the soils, to the mushrooms. They're living with them in that place of cooperation, communion, coexistence. And we're the ones that in these times have sadly been taken out. We never used to be. And as children, we are. And this is why I love spending time with children and
Yeah.
animals.
Super connected, man.
So connected to spirit.
Yeah.
Like they, for them, the worlds of this, there's no difference. Like we're so busy in our physical world that we forget about the unseen realm, the invisible realm, the spirit realm, whatever word we want to give to it. Our animal friends or children are in this space of like, okay, I'm with my biological mum and dad. I'm also with my power animals, my spirit guides, my soul clan. Like they're still seeing it all. And because we were children once, we were babies once, it's still there within us. We are soul in this physical sleeve called a skin, called a human, so we can access these spaces. And I feel with that, it requires these deep ceremonies. When we enter these deep ceremonies, we get a taste of what the unseen is. We get a taste of remembering what sacred is and the wisdom that we have and carry and the wisdom that's all around us. We're so bothered as humans, so many of us, of, I just want the approval of that human, which largely we're not going to get. Largely the human we want approval from, we're not going to get. But
Yeah.
when we can stretch our wings out and be like, wow, but the stars already approve me, the winds already approve me, the grass already approves me, the trees already approve, my animal already approves me. That's my village. I don't necessarily need the human that I want approval from. I don't need that. I get approval from other humans that are part of my circle, that get it, that work with me, that speak to me, that
Mm.
hold me, support me. That's my village. My village is also the more than human unseen realms that I am connected to. And that's what our animal friends are bringing us back to, is like, come back to the sacred that you are, the sacred that we are, and do our soul work. And this is then the hardship of our soul work. Again, as humans in these times, we're conditioned to make it easy. Like, oh, give me something that's just going to take it away. Give me a pill to feel better. Or you
Yeah.
do it.
Distract me.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to go to this therapist, which is nothing wrong. I mean, I also do different therapies as a shamanic practitioner, so it's not wrong. But I'm also aware that when someone comes to me, their belief system can be, you do it for me, you make me feel better. So they're not then willing to do the work as deeply as they need, but also I'm taking away their authority because I'm making them believe I need you. When I come to you, I feel better. And I'm like, that's really beautiful. And I don't necessarily want you to stop, as I can give holding, but I also want you to know that you don't need me and you're not supposed to need me. But I can be here for these spaces in these times while we explore this soul work. Because the reality of that, when we're entering soul work, is all about feeling. And our animal friends are feeling beings. Like, that's the place that they live from. They are in their sacred body. We're told so much of like, hate this about yourself, hate that about yourself. Your bum
Yeah.
should be smaller, your arm should be more. That we're like, oh, I don't want to be in my, like, being with my body is, I don't like it. Whereas our body is sacred, like it's so divine. This holds the codes, the library of wisdom, intelligence of soul, that when we drop
Absolutely.
the body, then we
I mean,
connect
they're
to our.
incredible just generally, aren't they? Our
Oh, yeah.
bodies are so clever. When Mother Nature had a hand in creating these for us, especially like our brains and all of our organs and our nervous system, you just look and you think it just mimics nature in the most beautiful way, that it's undeniable that we are completely connected. And I do agree with you. We should respect this a lot more than we do. They work hard for us. Everything in our body works hard for us.
Yeah, our body is a channel.
Yeah.
It's the vessel that connects us to above, to below, to source, to earth, to everything that we're part of. And we block it by, again, these belief systems of hating come on it. It blocks, I see myself as like this channel, this clear crystal, which was supposed to be, we're crystal light beings, this clear crystal channel. So I have access to all of this light, to all of consciousness, to all of this information. But we create these blocks for a whole host of different reasons. And the reality is that when we are in these spaces of wanting to do our soul work, You know, I can be sitting here talking about this, describing it. Physically, we can go to a sacred site or somewhere in nature or just be talking about it in our room. But to really be with it, we have to feel it. And that's
Yeah.
the challenge because nobody else can feel it for us. It was Carl Jung that shared in order to heal, we have to feel. And if we cannot feel, we cannot know what is real. And there's so much truth and depth behind that because when we're in our thinking mind, we lose out on most of reality because most of reality is in the spaces of feeling, of connecting to its
Yeah.
conscious, of seeing beyond what it's seeing. There's this phrase that is, it makes me want to cry every time I hear it of the moment we tell a child that's a blackbird, the child will no longer see a blackbird. And I'm going to share it because every time I hear it, it just speaks so deeply to my soul that I'm like, oh, I just want to cry because it's so true. The moment we tell a child that's a blackbird, the child will no longer see a blackbird ever again because we've labeled it, we've defined it. This is a blackbird. So a blackbird is this color. This is what it can do. This is what it's limited to. This is
Mm.
its beak. We label it. And so the child loses its connection to sacred of that blackbird. And time and time and time goes on, and we do exactly the same. Of, oh, that's a tree.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's the person. Oh, there's my dogs. Rather than sitting in this space of sacred and going, oh, what are you? Like, what wisdom can I tap into of consciousness that you carry that I'm also a part of? And that requires feeling. And feeling itself is very uncomfortable because we're not taught how to feel properly, or we're taught to distract ourselves when we start to feel, or we're taught to blame something outside of us
Yeah.
rather than going, oh, there's a saying that I always use of the experience itself is irrelevant. What's relevant is a feeling behind it. And I don't mean that even in, really traumatic, tragic circumstances. Like when our animal friend transitions, it's irrelevant. I'm not saying their transition is irrelevant. It's sacred and we are to be in ceremony with it and to be with it in a particular way. But for the charges that that experience then brings forward for us, it's the feeling to catch. That's the first recognition. That's the victory. I'm now catching it. What is this charge? What is this charge? And the charge itself is largely, it's a dance. It's a walk. It's a navigation. It's an exploration that I walk with. I dream with. I come into stillness into this room and I sit with to go, what are you? If you had a voice, which it has because it is also a form of consciousness,
Yeah.
what are you? What have you got to say to me that, sweetheart, I'm so sorry you've been trying to get my attention for all these years and I just didn't know, I just wasn't ready or I just couldn't hear, but I'm here now. What are you? Who are you? What part of myself are you? What phrase or belief system are you that was put into me to carry? And so much, I'm so aware that in this state of life and these times that we're in where the people are hurting, we're hurting so deeply and so badly that we may call it depression, anxiety, we may give it a label of anything else and everything else. I feel it's such deep grief that we're just so deeply grieving from that place of soul. Our soul is grieving, our soul is sorrowful because it all the while wants, wishes, is searching and seeking for us to bring it into sacred. And this is what our animal friends are
Yeah. So it's lost its connectivity kind of thing. We're
it's
we're almost grieving our connection.
yeah, and again, that's why we try and
Yeah.
fill it with something. It's like it's it's the new car. That's what it is. Oh great, I've got my
Yeah.
new car. And 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. Oh, do you know what? No, I had that happiness for a while. It's not the new car. Oh, well, oh, it's the job, or it's the new it's again, we're seeking something outside of ourselves when
Yeah.
all at once, let's go into the feeling. God, this is deep grief. And often, not for everybody, but often what's connected to that deep grief is deep, deep, deep guilt. From the very first time we were made to feel guilty, where we did nothing wrong. And then we constantly live our life in our relationships, in our work, in our showing up or not showing up, in our belief systems of, "Ah, I'm already a bad person. There's another bit of evidence that I can carry and collect to go, oh, there's another reason why I should feel guilty. But when we come back to feeling, when we come back to our sacred animal self, when we come back to our soul goes, nah, you are the most beautiful divine expression of source consciousness manifest into this physical form. Just as you are, just as I am, just as our dogs are, just as everything is. But nothing else has been taken out as sacred. Everything else lives from the space of I am me and I am pure, I am divine, I am connected, I am love. We're the only ones that are like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't love, I can't receive love, I don't know how to be love, I don't know how to handle that love without there being something else connected to it. Whereas our animal friends are saying all the time, love yourself unconditionally. That's what our animal friends emit to us all the time. We love you irrespective of who you are, what you can do, what you say you can't do. Of we see you,
And
we
you
see.
so feel that from the animals as well, don't you? You feel that in a big way when a dog or a cat or a horse or anything looks at you with that love of I'm yours, I'm here, you're perfect. And they do, they look at you as if to say, you are perfect to me. And you just
Yes,
kind of go, we look down and go, oh, you're so cute. You're like, oh, thank you.
yeah,
You know.
exactly. And
But
it's they're
actually, they're
seeing
giving us that beautiful love that
absolutely.
only they and children, like babies can do, and, look at you with that love of, "You're wonderful to me. You're
Yes,
everything."
and it's that space of again, they know children, animals, all of life, they are expressions of source consciousness, which is divine unconditional love. And so when they're seeing us, they are in their sacred body. They are connected to their soul. They're not looking at us going, oh, you're Isla, you're 43 years old, this is what you are. They're seeing our soul. They're seeing us as the totality of self, of all that we are, not, oh, you're a human and you live in this place called Earth, in this, because they don't live from the thinking mind. So they're like,
Yeah,
boom, I see you as the totality of source consciousness that I also am. And here is the love that I have for you. Here is the love that I emit. And that is also the fear, the panic, the deep grief that can come in a sacred way when our animal friends transition. One of the deep panics, whether we consciously know it or we don't, is am I ever going to get that love again? Am I ever going to get that acceptance again? Because in our life, most of the time, what we get from humans, because they're also separated from sacred, is approval.
yeah,
I like you over here. Oh, I like these parts of you. Oh, I like to be around you when it's happy, jokey Isla. Or Isla needs support right now. Oh, I don't know. I can't bother with that. Like we walk around in this fear of, am I going to be approved? Or am I going to have worth from you? Am I going to be worthy? Whereas our animal friends go, you're already part of our circle. Of course you're worthy. Like we see you in your totality. So when our animal friends transition, of course, there is that absolute heart to heart love connection that is painful, having a painful experience through that transition of them still being alive, by the way, that animals share with me all the time. Like they don't have to be in a body to be alive. And it's so true. Like they say it very much with laughter, like, you guys, we don't have to be in a body to be alive. Because that's where they want us to be, of to know, like we are consciousness.
yeah,
Be in this space of soul, of sacred, of unseen. There we are with our animal friends and all these incredible forms that they show up as. But in that space, when they are no longer in physical form with us, often that unconscious reasoning and grief is they accepted me. They accepted me and loved me for who I am. I don't know if I'm ever going to get that ever again. And that's the panic of that they were my anchor, often in a safety perspective, often in a I could trust my animal where I couldn't trust a human because of our life experience with
yeah,
human. But it also is a, oh, who's gonna love me like that? Who's gonna love me without limits like that? And their reflection back is like, you love yourself without limits like that. Like that's what they bring back to us all the time because they're walking this space of I love myself regardless if anybody else does or doesn't. Like I don't care what anybody else is saying about me, thinking about me. And so they're constantly bringing this reflection back to us of being in our soul work, of feeling these charges And then coming back to sacred, which for me is this beauty of ceremony. When we're in ceremony, we get a glimpse of it, because when we're in ceremony, the thinking mind is a very busy, loud construct. There is
Yeah,
this teaching
very.
called the Matoti. It's Toltec. The Matoti translates to 1,000 voices in the marketplace, which, if you can imagine, that's exactly what a market sounds like. Fresh fish, fresh fish. Who wants these burgers over? I've got this jumper. Like, buy these 2 jumper. Like, they're so noisy. That's how busy the mind is, how noisy the mind is. And the mind is the first to give up. So in that sense, when we are in these spaces of feeling, we in that moment might get a feeling, and our thinking mind goes, oh, no, 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 like, to distract ourselves, be busy, just busy yourself. It's the first to give up. Oh, no, I don't want to go down there. Like, it's going to be too painful. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to be with it. Let's just do something else. So again, we're carrying all these charges. But when we're in ceremony, the thinking mind is also the first to give up. So it may be the first half an hour, the first hour, the first 2 hours. When people come to me and they're like, sorry, we're going to be in ceremony for how long? We actually need that space to clear the thinking mind, because the thinking mind is like, let's just leave. Let's just do something else. This is not going to work. How long is this not going to? And then all of a sudden, boom, there's a change. We go from ordinary to non-ordinary. We go from seen to unseen, the more than human. And then we are out of the thinking mind. To begin with, we realize just how noisy the mind is, but then we are in the sacred. We are in our sacred body, connected to the unseen, connected to source, connected to all of life in this sacred way. We're receiving. All of a sudden, our eyes might be open and we're like, wow, I'm seeing my ancestors. I'm seeing this Egyptian god. I'm seeing this unicorn. I'm feeling very different. Something's happening in my body. I'm now hearing the song of something really, really old that my soul recognizes. That's the ground of sacred. That's the ground of ceremony that, for me, we have to enter to do our soul work, because I feel, it's just my feeling. So therefore, I guess a belief system that way, but or my opinion, I absolutely feel like we can't think our way out of these things, because we have to be in sacred, and sacred doesn't care what we think, because the thinking mind is not sacred. The thinking mind is based on belief systems. It's based on rationale. It's based on, oh, well, I believe that on some level, therefore I accept it. But sacred is everything. Sacred is, wow, the soil can be a different color and have a taste of fruit, and is giving me information about how I should be doing my soul work. The thinking mind can't fathom that out. So sacred doesn't speak to the thinking mind. So we can't think our way out of this, because all we're doing, which again has its place, is just talking and talking and talking and talking. We need to bring it into the space of ceremony, where we drop from the head into the body, into the sacred body, into the
Yeah.
soul, and into that very tributary, that very mycelium that the mushrooms are, the web, the weave of the ecosystem that we're part of, to go, oh, I am part soil, I am part grass, I am part tree, I am part animal, I am part stone, I am part cosmos, I am part of a star system that speaks to me. There's my family. There's my grief. There's my charges. I'm just going to be with this one for this time, knowing that there's many. There's no, and even in myself, right, I still do this work. I always say everything that I share and talk about, I have done and still do. I'm still doing my own work. I'm still going, oh, heck, there's another charge. Like, I thought I'd cleared that, or there's another charge I didn't even think I had any left. I'm still doing it, because this is lifelong, and also lives long. And we get to do it together. That's the beauty. We're supposed to be doing it together. We get to do it together whilst we are in these circles, these spaces of ceremony where we're not talking about it. We're experiencing it. We're feeling it. And there's this beautiful saying, Miguel Rivera, who's a medicine man from Guatemala, and I just love it so much. He's like, in our society as Westerners, we've got it is what it is. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is. But we've kind of got it back to front. Like, for his culture and his community and his village, they sing and dance and drum and rattle for 10 hours. They speak it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, done. Because it's done in the ceremony. We don't need to speak about it. Whereas in our culture, we may sing or be in ceremony for 5 minutes, because I was thinking myself, oh God, how long does it have to be? Do we have to do, So we're in ceremony for 5 minutes, but then we talk about it the rest of our lives. We can't
Yeah.
get over it. And it's not to say, "Oh, get over it and brush it off." These experiences, these charges, so often can be deep. Heck, I've experienced some really deep charges that I'm still working through, that are still there. They're softer, but it's not to dismiss them or brush them off. They're to be witnessed and valued and held and heard, but in a sacred way, in a way that if we just talk about them, we're just talking about them. They're not having this space to be heard, to be felt, to be experienced, to be moved. Almost like, when we heat something up, we're heating up soup, or herbs. We see them, like, they go down at the bottom and they come back up, and then that's what we're creating in ourselves, is this sacred vessel, this
Yeah.
container. And for me, it's like, if I could bottle it, that's where I want everyone to be. To go, "Oh, I'm having a charge right now. Let me," that means I'm being called to sacred. When there's a charge, we're being called to sacred through ceremony, through initiation. That's our job. That's almost like our role, fundamentally, is the human experience of these spaces we are in that are turbulent, because we're being initiated. Like, I am being called to initiation. And that for me is really huge, is really powerful, is fanciful, but it's also like, what, me out of anybody else? Like, I'm that special, that important? Yes, because we all are. And the way that soul works and source consciousness works and spirit works is, this is the way that we're going to call you back to sacred. But all the while, our animal friends are bringing us back into this space. As I say, including, which is why I love teaching the medicine path that is their sacred transition and our grief. Both are sacred. When we were taught these teachings, which again our soul knows, because we have been these ancient beings, we are these ancient beings. It's just we're not taught about it anymore, so then we don't know how to be with our grief. We don't know how to be with transition as a whole. But our animal friends, through their own transition, hold wisdom. Like, they're channeling with me, they're sharing with me, they're channeling with all of us. This is the medicine that we're bringing to you through our transition. It's still a continuation of our soul work, because through their transition, all they ask is to be honored. All
Yeah,
they ask,
we talked about this quite a lot, didn't we, when we had our initial phone call?
yeah,
And some of um, the work that you do with these animals that are no longer here on this plane, but are still there, giving their wisdom and their teachings and passing that support and guidance down, whether it's to their old owners or whether that's to anybody in general. I mean, as in your book, obviously, would be one example, wouldn't it? Of just giving that general wisdom to anybody that will listen. Um, it's very powerful, these messages that they have for us, isn't it? In the sense of this connectivity, this kind of like, we are all part of this cosmos. Their messages are incredible.
yeah. I mean, thank you for sharing that. Cosmological connection. We are part of the cosmological ground. We
Yeah,
are still connected to the stars. And as I say, like, they haven't left that space. But when they transition, that's why they say, like, we're still here. It's just I'm going to say the word need, and I don't want to use that word, because need can be quite a charged word anyway. How many times have we told us kids, you need. It's one
yeah,
of the things that gets twitchy eye when someone says to me, "Oh, what you need to do is," I'm like, "Well, no, because that's based on your opinion, your life experience, and where you are at." So I welcome it, but how we need to explore it is from this space again of the charge. When our animal friends transition, the grief itself can create these blocks, but we are a crystal, this beautiful tube, this clear crystal where we can still receive, because in this space, our animal friends transition, or when they are part of source conscious again, the wisdom that they carry for all of humanity. They really bring these beautiful messages for all of humanity of how we are to be, how we should be living, being in these spaces of knowing ourselves as unconditional love, loving ourselves without limits, and being connected to sacred. But when they transition, it's still this continuation for the animal guardian of their own soul work, based again on feeling, based on, like, one of the things for me, I absolutely feel and know and see from doing this so much, is when an animal guardian is grieving. And we're supposed to, right? We're supposed to grieve in a particular way. That basically means it's sacred. but we will give it again a word. Oh, I'm grieving because I can know through my eyes, through my thinking mind, my animal friend transitioned. That's why I'm grieving.
Yeah.
Yes, that is why you're grieving. One way. That's one way you're grieving. But what our animal friends transition opens us up to, which is actually any time we experience a grief and then giving it that story or those words, is just all the griefs. It's blown our heart open, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. Our animal friends share heart awake, live from an awakened heart. And the problem is for humans is that we turn up as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old child and we go, Mom, Dad, I did this drawing. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Like, this is all my vulnerability in this painting. And our mum and dad may have been arguing or stressed with work or whatever. And matter of factly, they go, well, what is it painting? It's the family cat. Well, it looks nothing like the family cat. Anyway, we're far too busy. Go off and do something else. And in that moment, that's our soul heartbreak. Our heart has been ripped open. Our
Yeah.
soul is disconnected. And we're, boom, there is something wrong with me. It's not safe in any way to offer my heart open.
Yeah.
So that bit by bit by bit, we go, no, 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 no. I am protecting myself. I am safeguarding myself. Our friends don't live from that place. They live from it like heart awake, heart open. And so they know in a way that comes in the most turbulent space. Again, we've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. A transition is not comfortable in any way. It's beautiful and powerful when we enter ceremony with it. But before we go into that space, it opens up our heart. The heartbreak blows our heart open. Their ask is, can you keep it there? Can you keep it there? Because often what happens is, I'm too heartbroken. I'm going to carry this weight on top of all the other weights that I carry. I'm going to carry it again to close it down, close it down, close it down, close it down. And the heart itself as a center becomes hardened. And I guess that's the reason why so many of us have heart issues, not because of just our diet or our stress, or we are heartbroken. We are
Yeah.
heart hardened because all the while we came into this life just like all of life does. Our animals that have hearts, boof. I walk from this place of my open heart, my heart awake. When our heart is awake, I see the tree, not think it. I see the tree. I see the grass. I see the blackbird. I see me. Bex, Isla, everybody listening here, I see me. And that is the opportunity through their transition is poof. Through this pain, we're breaking your heart open. Keep it open so that you can be with the continuation of the soul work through the charges of this is just all the griefs that I carry. I don't even know if I'm strong enough to deal with them all. Yes, we are. When we're in these spaces, it feels like shit. There's no other word
Yeah.
for it. I've been there. I was just there just recently as well. It's
Yeah.
shit. There's no other word for it. But that in itself is the initiation. Where do we go with that? We go into the ceremony. So again, in our times, in our culture, we're now stuck in whatever word we want to call it, the shadow work, the dark night of the soul, the abyss, the unknown. We're in this darkness, and it's in this darkness where the sacred is. It's in this darkness
Well,
where
it is you've got to cross that darkness, haven't you? That's the whole thing. I mean, as you said there, a perfect word that a lot of people know, it's more commonly, let's say, known as colloquially, is shadow work, isn't it? And you've got to cross through. You've got to go through, you've got to break through it, no matter how many times it takes you to try. Doesn't have to all happen at once. You can't clear everything all at the same time. Maybe it's just one issue at a time. Maybe it's 7 attempts on each one, whatever. But you've got to get through it. And yeah, I love what you're saying about this heart center is so important, like in so many ways, isn't it? From an energetic point of view, let alone this actual physical organ that's keeping us alive. And you're right, if we don't use that opportunity that has beautifully been gifted to us, and I mean, what a wonderful way to talk about death. What a beautiful way to talk about the death of a pet as this beautiful transition where they open up your heart space to give you the space and the freedom to deal with the things that you need to deal with to get you connected back to source, sacred, spirit, whatever it is that people call this, that higher consciousness, that cosmos. What a wonderful way. So becomes so positive all of a sudden, doesn't it? You know, this awful thing that's happened
Yeah.
had this beautiful positive meaning to it. That they're there helping us, guiding us, trying to teach us. It's amazing.
Yes, and it's that's what they come back to all the time. Again, our thinking mind, guardians come to me, my animal friends transitioning in their 4. They should be at least 16, 17, 18. Well, that's just a belief system. That's just because we've been told, oh, a
Yeah,
dog can live
literally,
this
yeah.
long time, a polar bear can live the thing. But we're part of sacred. So this is where our animal friends live from, which is actually where we live from. Our animal friends live from what's called soul span. So yes, as Isla, this body and this name Isla is finite. I have have an expiration date. I'm going to expire. But my soul span doesn't. My soul span is infinite. It may
Yeah.
be that I come out of body and I'm going to be spirit forevermore, but I know that I've had past lives. So my soul span is like, don't sweat it. Like it's okay, there's things that are still being carried that need to be resolved. And that's what I love really. So, I mean, animals teach me so much. Every time I'm with an animal and I'm receiving wisdom from them, for humanity, it's also for me as well. It teaches me so much. And one of the things is when they're transitioning and they are young, for example, 4, they don't live from age. They're living from soul span. So they're like, what do you mean I'm 4? I'm just in something physical and I'm going to be alive in something that's non-physical. And as you say, it just becomes, that's what we're here to do, to beautify a transition, to beautify death. And for the thinking mind, this is what I mean. The, the thinking mind can't comprehend sacred. Sacred does not care what we think, and we can't think our way through this, because even by saying we're to beautify death, when we even say the word death, oh, that's painful. So to beautify death, those two words don't go together. Yes, they do. And what they require, and this is what our animal friends share, like they don't care how old they are when they transition. What they care is that they're honored because they're sacred. And so we see them as sacred, and so we honor them, and they can have their own share about what they want for their transition. But at the same time, because they are living from soul span and they are connected to the cosmological ground of source consciousness, it's still a continuation of our soul work for when they transition in a way that we need. If we need that to be, my animal friend is 17 and they died in their sleep, that is what we're ready for on the delicate nature that our physical body is. If they transition, like I always share, and it's beautiful for me now because the physical body's in the 3D, so the physical body is always having to catch up, whereas the soul and spirit just know. Like this is what it's
Yeah.
almost like they're in cahoots with each other, with our animal friends, to go, this is going to happen for this. So as an example, like when I was 8 years old, my absolute best friend, it sounds really sad, but like, it was my absolute best friend was my white rabbit. Like m- that he was my friend. He was my absolute best friend. And I would get home from school, and really beautifully so, which I kind of assumed everybody had until I got older. I realized that I was really fortunate. We had a nature reserve right at the back of our street. I would spend all my time down there. It was really what obviously taught me to be so connected to nature. So I
Yeah.
get home from school, I take my rabbit, Snowy, down the sandhills. We call this nature reserve. He wasn't on lead. He had great recall, but I'd spend all my time out with him. He lived a year. And I remember like it was yesterday. I knew he wasn't well. Thank you, Soul and Source. I was actually off school and well as well with a cold, and I knew he wasn't well. And I brought him inside to the lounge, and I remember I was sitting down, held him in my arms in the lounge. I know exactly the space where it was, holding him, holding him, holding him, and he screamed like a human. I mean, the scream was harrowing. He screamed like a human. Dead, died, transitioned, gone. And I was traumatized by that, partly because of my age, partly because of his age. He was my best friend. My best friend was gone, but I didn't have the teachings around grief and transition. It was, oh, well, there, never mind. And
Yeah.
again, my parents being parents that love me dearly and want to do kind things. Like a couple of days later, I'm still traumatized, right? But we're not in an era where we were trauma informed. So my mum and dad decided, because there was a family friend, a work friend actually with my mum, that her little girl had now got a rabbit. Oh, well, we've now got an empty hutch and an empty bowl and an empty water bottle. Wouldn't it be really
Oh, no.
lovely?
There's
Exactly.
everything. Oh, no.
From their kindness of their heart, wouldn't it be really lovely, Ali, if, we gave them snowy stick? No, and they did. So additional trauma wasn't true. And I carried that all of carried it all of my life. I even remember when I got my first dog that I'm like, they're going to live a year and they're going to leave me. They're going to live a year and they're going to leave me. But that was also part of my initiation that I didn't understand at the time, to walk this walk around the way that death has chased me. Looking back, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we are on these walks in all these different ways, but honoring their transition, making their transition sacred, and being in ceremony with their transition and our grief is the most beautiful, profound medicine that is inviting us to do our soul work. It's like, and this is really hard for animal guardians to hear. And when we're in that space of our thinking mind, it's not landing properly, because what we're hearing is, my animal friend transitioned because of me. I don't want that. They're not transitioning because. They're not transitioning because I carry all these griefs and all these. No, it's part of the continuation. We have been many things, and so have our animal friends. And this is the beauty. Our animal friends that are in our life, they've been in our life before. They are our ancestors. They are our spirit guides. It's a continuation. It's not like, oh, I have this life with the people that I meet and the animals that I have and all these things and boof, never again. It's just the continuation of the way that we come in. So it
So it's
may be,
literally the epitome of a life's purpose, really.
yes,
These animal friends come to us with this purpose for whatever the duration of their life is, whether it's 1 year or 17 or whatever. And then they just keep sort of coming back to us as we keep moving and
absolutely. But
onto other
not
lives.
necessarily,
It's
yes,
amazing.
yes, but not necessarily the way that they are always the dog or the animal and we're the human. Because there's a continuation. So it could be even, in the past, in a past life, they were we were the elderly grandma and they nursed us. And now we're like, okay, we're nursing you through your transition. You saw our transition. We're now seeing your transition. You went through that grief and that pain, and maybe you went into your soul with it. Maybe you didn't. That's why it's just a cycle. And that's how they see it. It's just a cycle. We've been many things, we're many things again. And then that's why I'm saying it's, we can't think our way through this, because I'm giving words here. I'm saying like, oh, it's just a content. It's not just, it's painful, it's profound, it's powerful, it's supposed to be, because what it pulls us into, but it's pulling us into, go into the sacred landscapes. Oh, I'm seeing it from a
Yeah.
different place. It is okay. I'm supposed to cry. I'm supposed to cry again. I'm supposed to cry again. I'm going to be okay for a while. I'm supposed to cry. That's part of it. But we see it it's not that we stop caring, we stop worrying. We stop being here, looking here. We look here in the sacred of it all, and how we can beautify their transition and beautify our grief. And when we're in that space, and when it's able to land and sit and be felt, and we're to be in ceremony with it, I go into ceremony myself, something will come up. Like right now, with really the state of the world, that's
Yeah.
not, I'm feeling it collectively. Like we can't not, because we're part of the ecosystem of the cosmos. I'm feeling it collectively, but also my body is its own physical world that has had things happen to it that are not too dissimilar to what's happening, that we're talking about globally. And so my body has got residue. It's got residual trauma. And I'm like, oh, sweetheart, like we've been really good with not noticing that for years now, but it's still there. So if I'm just thinking about it and talking about it, I'm thinking about it, I'm feeding it, but feeding it and making it fatter. I'm feeding it and want it to digest and be eliminated. So
Yeah.
what's that for me? That's ceremony. Oh, well, what does that ceremony mean, Isla? That's the beauty of it. Our thinking mind give me the steps. Tell me how to do it right. Tell me when I'm doing it wrong. The ceremony is felt. Oh, this feels right for me. This is what I need next. This is what I need now. This is where I need to go. And so we are all sacred. And as sacred beings, we all know how to do ceremony. So yes, go to someone that holds ceremony, go to me, go to you, go to anybody as we start to implement and understand what ceremony feels like. But you are your own sacred vessel that holds the scriptures of ceremony that your own soul knows and needs and requires. So again, it can be the embarrassment of like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing, oh, well, someone else does it this way. I've seen online that they do it this way. Do you feel different? That is, for me, just key. Do you feel different from doing it? Even if you feel different just for half an hour or a few days, because we have to go back into the ceremony, back into the ceremony. The beauty is if we feel the same after doing it as we did before we went into it, then nothing happened.
Yeah.
But do we feel lighter? Do we feel different? Oh, this pain in my shoulder just is, yeah, I have more flexibility there now. I'm, I'm starting to have clarity in how these things are working. That's the beauty of the ceremony. Doesn't mean, again, it's the thinking mind of, oh, I just need to do this once, then do it, then it's gone. No, we keep
I
showing
always
up.
love that one, like a one and done sort of scenario, and you kind of look and go, I don't think anything's possible to work like that. And if
No,
it
no.
does, if someone claims that everything can be cured in one session of anything, regardless of what it is, then they're lying anyway.
Yeah, I mean, only when it's really mild, only when it can be, I don't know, I'm in a supermarket, someone looks at me funny, and I catch that right of like, oh, why did they look at, am I wearing, do I look fat? Does this not suit me? But then I can catch it and go, oh, that's just a charge of me not believing that I'm good enough or me worrying about what someone else thinks about me. All right, that's still part of a bigger charge that I'm carrying. But yeah, it's not again, the thinking mind is like, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Or another one? And like, how long is this going to take? It's lifelong. This is why it's a journey. But once we are in it and we do it more and it gets exciting. Like there's a part of when I know I'm doing ceremony, my thinking mind is trying to find every excuse under the sun. Oh, you're going to be too cold. You're going to be too hungry. It's going to be too wet. Who's going to be there? Who's going to be laughing at it? All that stuff. And I'm still going to go, yeah, just keep saying all these things. Still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. And then
Yeah.
again, I'm there, and my thinking mind's like, oh, how long is it going to take? Or I'm really uncomfortable. Da, 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 da. But as I say, there's a point comes, we're in it. We've entered sacred. We've entered the unseen. We've basically made the ordinary non-ordinary. And that applies here. I'm sitting right now, and I call this space my medicine room. It's also my study. It's full of books, my computer, my sacred objects. Sacred is sacred. If you want to go and do it at a sacred site, beautiful. That's very romantic and it's beautiful and things will happen. But consciousness and source and spirit is everywhere, including in this room. It's part of the unseen that I can't see until we're in the non-ordinary, but I can grab. It's in my hands, it's all around me. So creating ceremony, creating the ordinary into non-ordinary reality can happen in this room, can happen in your lounge, can happen in the bathroom. We're basically going into these spaces where we're just making an ordinary space into non-ordinary by entering ceremony, by being in this sacred space. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be, as I say, out in nature, a sacred site. Beautiful to do those things because we can meet people, we can be held as a community as what we're supposed to be doing, but also we can be intimate with ourselves and do it on our own. And particularly when it becomes familiar to us, we can go, oh, this is
Yeah.
what I need. Well, I, I don't have time to book a retreat. I don't have the expenses to book a retreat, but I can do it here. I've got the weekend free. I can spend 2 days in that ceremony. And really that, I mean, it was Tunkasila that taught me the power of ceremony for a transition. That taught me the power of our grief is sacred and requires ceremony because when Tunkasila transitioned, I'm really grateful that I have a very different relationship to transition than most people. But she was my absolute heart and soul dog. That was my anchor. She stopped me from committing suicide. She supported me when I left my abusive marriage. She was a very traumatized dog, so taught me so much about how animals process the world and how we can support our animal friends when in a physical body. And so I also expected and knew that I was going to be a mess. I'm like, guys, I'm going to be fine, but I'm also going to be a mess. I'm imagining I'm going to need my own space when she transitions. And she introduced me to this concept of ceremony for transition for our animal friends. Ceremony for transition, that's what it needs. through her wisdom that was channeled, she taught me so much, even about how to create ceremony. And the only way I can describe it, of course, I was sad. I cried. I cried. I was in ceremony and I cried. The intensity of those emotions needed that ceremony. But the only way I can describe it is a bit like when you have a hiccup and then you stop hiccuping, your body for a while still expects it to come.
Yeah.
It was exactly like that. Like I was expecting to lose my shit. I was expecting like Isla to break down and not even know when I'm going to be able to stand up. And it never came. And it was the power of the ceremony and honoring her and the power of the ceremony of my grief and all that it started to unravel. And that was then her guidance to me of like, you're now like, it's almost like you no longer need me in physical form. How we are
Yeah.
to work together and what you need, what I need for my soul work can only come by her not being here. And that's a really hard thing that I
So
think in my yeah.
let me just explain to everybody out there. So this is actually how I came across you, was through Tunkasila's teachings, isn't it? That's the name of the book. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I couldn't remember.
So
Yeah.
I had a beautiful lady, Sharon Lynn, on, and we were talking, and the book's in the background, and she read out. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or if it was on the call we had before the podcast, and she read some teachings to me according to kind of page number and so on, very intuitive, and it was beautiful. There's just this lovely, as you said, wisdom, these
Yeah.
beautiful teachings to pass down from Tankasila, the dog, to Isla, to Sharon, to me, and many other people. And then you and I spoke and we talked about it as well, didn't we? Amongst many other things on our phone call, we talked about Tunkasila as well. So explain to everybody that, so Tunkasila was your dog, wasn't she?
Yes.
And then when she transitioned, when she passed, she gave you these beautiful teachings that you created into your book, didn't you?
Yeah, so they started to come before. So basically what happened is this all started when I was at a point of going to commit suicide. I was just like again, the things that we're talking about now, like I wasn't in that space. I knew I was connected, but I was just like done. I like it's too confusing. Can't work this life out. I'm done trying to work it out. I was in an abusive marriage at the time. It was um and I used to visit a woodland. And every day I'd visit this woodland, and there was a particular tree that I would sit on, and this, just because of the height of the tree and how the branch had grown out, my feet would dangle off the ground and I would bob, and it was just having that, like, it wasn't a rocking motion, it was actually just bobbing up and down. Oh, it just felt so comforting. So this day I kind of visit this tree, and I was crying, 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 like in the typical, like proper Hollywood movie style, like the snot, like proper crying. And I heard these words, "You are enough." And I instantly stopped crying because of embarrassment, because behind there's a farmer's field and the farmer was called Ed. I'm like, oh God, it's the farmer. He knows me, the farmer. No, oh my God, how embarrassing. Stop crying, look behind me. No farmer. Definitely heard the words, "You are enough." Started to cry, 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 cry. And I heard the words again, "You are enough." And I'm like, I stopped crying. I'm like, it's the tree. It's a goddamn tree that is telling me, because the tree was like, "I'm enough,
Right.
you're enough." And so there was something in that moment. I'm like, oh, okay, there's something else. There's something else in life that I want to explore. And then I started to realize that Tunkasila was visiting me in my dream time, which our animal friends do so much. But again, I'm like, oh, again, thinking mind. Oh, I'm dreaming, of course. Love
Yeah.
my, of course, I'm with her every day. Of course, she's going to come into my dream. She was coming to my dream time. But then what was starting to happen is, as I was starting to get more and more and more into my soul work, my connection with the unseen, to sacred, to spirit support, I'm like, wow, Tunkasila is there, as she's in physical form, but I really work with her when I'm connecting to spirit. And so then, before she transitioned, she started to bring these teachings forward of even about, like, I remember before she transitioned, but she was very close to transitioning. One of the questions I asked her was, "What have you got to share about death?" And it was the most beautiful. Even in that share back from Tunkasila, I was just like, "Wow, I see death completely different." So then it became, it's not a death. That wasn't her choice of words, but I'm like, it is a transition, because when we're not, it's not an end, it's not a death, it's actually a transition. And even now, when I sit with the consciousness of death, death's like, no, 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 don't call me that word, because you've assigned a belief system to me that is
Yeah.
not who I am. You're labeling
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
not who I am. And so even when we can now go to the consciousness of death, it makes me want to cry, because the consciousness of death gives me this image of like the child that's bullied at school, the child that's left out in the cold, the child that's peering into the window, and all of his mates, all the kids at school are having a party inside, and the fire's on, and they're having a nice cake and a lovely warm time, and he's outside in the that's how the conscious of death feels. And he's like, bring me in, I am part of your life. And so I started to work with Tunkasira in this way, and then when she transitioned, that's when the floodgates opened even more, where this channeling started to come more and more and more. And then it just became of, oh, I channel animal consciousness, not just from Tunkasila. Oh, I channel the conscious of the kingdoms, whether it's the storm, whether it's the plants, whether it's the Aquarians, whether it's the star. It's, oh, I just channel. So it kind of started before she transitioned, while she was in that intermediary space of kind of being in body, not in body. And then when she transitioned, and these beautiful teachings that now that she has transitioned, they're not in book form, but when I'm in that space to do so, I'll hit the record button, and yeah, she channels for, as a spirit guide, that really how she shows herself. She's like a grandmother. She really holds herself as, see her word, like, see me as a grandmother. That's her words. She's this wise, wise grandmother that holds the wisdom that we all hold and all have. But she brings this as messages to our soul, as medicine to our heart, as she calls it, so that we can know who we are, can know our connection to sacred, know our connection to source consciousness, and channel. It's not. I always say it's not special in the way it is special. It's not special that we can all do it, but it's special because it's sacred. It's holy. It's
Very,
respect.
yeah. Yeah, very. And it's incredible, it is incredible. But I find that just from sort of from my own journey, where I am on my journey now, and then hearing things like what you're saying, um, it just gives me such like a beautiful hope, because
Mm.
what you were saying about death, it is not the end. It's not a definitive finish. There's no finish line to our journey here. There's no finish line after
No,
either. And I've always been, what's the word? Don't know. I suppose from a human perspective, it probably looks like I'm quite cold and a bit callous about death. But I've always just taken it kind of on the chin a little bit, just sort of like that happened sort of thing. Um, doesn't mean I don't deal with that element of grief that we do experience, but I certainly don't. I don't see it as the finishing line, if that makes sense. I just that's me imagining that just continues from there onwards anyway.
yeah,
Human
totally.
being, animal or otherwise. But definitely where I am on my journey right now, this gives me such great hope, this beautiful connectivity that never really stops. It's almost like a carousel that you just keep going round on. You're right. It ties all so much in, from past life experience to, what you could become. You're not maybe going to be a human next time. Who knows? I love all
Absolutely.
that. I absolutely love it, because it just means that we are just on this endless journey where we can sometimes be the teacher, sometimes we'll be the student, sometimes we'll just be a tree.
Exactly, which is still a teacher and
Yeah.
student life. Yeah. And
Yeah.
in that continuation, for me, like, continuation of soul span, we are, like, in this life, I might live till I'm 80 to 100, maybe less, I don't know. But for our soul, the length of this life is like, it's like three blinks. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Three clicks.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
get panicked about, oh my goodness, and I should have done this. And sometimes, sometimes people come to me like, oh, I feel like I wasted my life, or I so wanted to learn this. I so wanted to be like a herbalist or whatever. And, well, yes, what's to say that you're not preparing yourself now? You're doing the soul work now. So the next life, if you are going to be a human, or you might be even a higher being, you're coming in to go, oh, I can do it, because it's already been cleared. And it's almost the concept of, what the hell have you endured in past lives to be here now? To actually have the ability to go, oh, I'm ready to be in my soul work. I can recognize my charges. I can be in the, it's all part of this continuation. That doesn't mean to say all of our past lives have been human, because they haven't been. They absolutely haven't been. But like you shared this carousel, like how spirit shares it with me, it's like a jukebox. You know, we go to the pub, we're like, okay, I want to play these songs. The records come down, they play their things, boop, they go back into the great sky of the music again. That's what it is. Of there is no end, there is no separation itself is an illusion. There is no separation. There is
Yeah.
just this continuation of form back to formless, form back to formless.
And that just gives me, honestly, so much hope. It's almost like, I don't know, out of all the dawning realizations that come with this kind of, this sort of journey, this sort of path, I feel like this one has given me just this beautiful, um, yeah, beautiful, hopeful realization that learn what you can, literally learn it all, read it all, do what you want. This kind of guides you in this direction, go in that direction. You don't get this done, don't worry about it. You didn't get to Disneyland, don't worry about it. You know, you made a mistake. It's okay. Learn from it. And it just makes you realize that all these things are just maybe for next time. As you said, you know, it might not be about how important it is right now. Maybe this is what you need to gather here to take with you on to the next bit.
Completely,
You know, and
completely.
I
And
love that. I'm in, like, such a learning zone, have been for
oh,
years. I
I
told you this
love
before,
that
didn't
you're in a
I? That
mindset.
just love it, like, absorbing
Yeah,
as much as I can, as much learning, teaching, information, everything, and you can't help but sit there sometimes going, "I wonder why this has come now," because I sucked at school. I had no interest. I was kinda naff at it, you know? Like, I don't know why now, but then you kinda go, "Doesn't matter why now.
yeah,
Now that's obviously your purpose, so just rock and roll with it, you know, literally go
absolutely.
learn it
Because
all
you're right.
because who knows where you're going with it and when you're gonna
Exactly.
need it.
And that
And I
that
love
big
that.
excitement of wow, I don't know, and whilst I don't know, I might be in fear and panic, anxiety. Wow, but my soul knows. Can
Yeah.
I even be in that element of excitement because my soul knows? And even talking about mistakes or not getting it right, there's no right or wrong. There's this beautiful statement. I can't remember who shares it, so forgive me. But it's perfectionism, the fear of making the same mistake once. Perfectionism. Yeah, exactly. The fear of making the same mistake once. Of like,
I
oh no, I've
love
got to get
that.
it right. I've got to get it the it's was here too, but like, oh, I can learn next time. Oh, that was okay there, but not there. And really, maybe to end off, this also, there may be a romance around, okay, my animal friends transitioning, this makes sense. I've also worked many a time with humans that are transitioning. I've connected to them when they have transitioned. And again, connecting to humans that have transitioned, that are connected to people that I know, but not in a way where I know the family member or the friend that's transitioned. And when I'm sharing information back of what was human, that is now spirit, to give information of how it is, of how their transition was, of who is there, um, information for the human, which is what our animal friends will share to us when they have transitioned as well, again adds to this catalogue of understanding life and understanding that transition is also life. Life is sacred, transition is sacred. And the harder part of that is um, we are in a spiritual playground on earth, but we are at the level of PhD. So if we can imagine if we're here in a spiritual playground of Earth, but it's at kindergarten, oh, it'd be so easy, so easy. But
Yeah.
on some level, for some reason, we have chosen to be in this form, but the Earth school, spiritual school, is that of like level of PhD. And we can, I mean, I've done a PhD, so like I know how hard it is and how sometimes you're like, I'm gonna like fuck this shit, I'm just gonna jack it all in. Um, but it is that learning, and I in that sense, transition, even our own transition is beautiful. And I'm gonna end with two things that are human. So I remember when my grandfather was dying, and he was at home, and he pretty much was unconscious at that point, and I was supposed to stay with my uncle, and I just knew, I had a knowing he's going to transition, and I'm like, I just said to my family, look, I'm going to stay up with my granddad during the night, and I'm going to read to him. Don't know what I'm going to read, but it just feels right for me to stay with him, to honor him, to be with his soul. I'm going to read to him, and he'd been kind of like unconscious for like a probably all day anyway. I can't quite remember. But in that space of me being with him during the night, he sat up out of bed, just sat up, and he looked at me and he's just like, "Not long to go now, Isla." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean, Granddad?" He's like, "Oh, not long to go. I've seen my grandma, Granddad." And I was like, because he didn't say his mum and dad, but I'm like, "Tell me more." But he just went, "I've seen my grandma, Granddad." Boop. And a few hours later, he transitioned. That for me was the first step of curiosity of like, what is he seeing? Okay,
Yeah.
we could say, oh, he was transitioning, he's in this. No, he was in sacred and unseen. But because I do this work with humans and animals, I also access these spaces of transition where I'm like, wow, the beings, not just the people that we've known in this life, the beings from past lives, from everything that loves and cares and support, they're all there. And even as we are alive and awake, it's like concentric circles. They are encircling us, and we have so much support from the unseen, from not just the unseen of the spirit of the trees and the star, from the pharaohs, the gods, the higher beings, the things that we've been in past lives that were with us. Everything is there supporting us. And even in my own transition, I did have a near-death experience where I actually didn't see anyone. There is now in my teachings understanding that was taught to me. When we transition, we have just a window of opportunity, a very short window of opportunity to go straight to the light. And most humans don't, because we're like, oh my God, I'm transitioning. And what about my loved ones? And how's it going to be? And I'm still angry
Yeah,
about
kind of
this.
grasping backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of can be a journey in itself, which is why then, when we are able to, as a practitioner, we can support this journey for them. But I was just in this light, and I knew I was in this light going, huh, this is me transitioning in this tunnel. I was literally in a tunnel of light that was warm and light and bright. And in that moment, there was nothing. There was no pain. There was no belief system. There was just pure love and knowing of my totality and where I was going and just the pure love that it felt. It was just the most incredible experience. So I wished to end on that.
That's beautiful. And I think it's actually a fabulous place to finish because I think that's how it should feel. That sort of totality, as you said, we are a mere blip. I had this thought literally. It's funny. I don't know if I was thinking about this conversation or not, but I was walking very fast on the way after dropping my daughter off at school, and I was in a bit of a rush, and I was walking really at a pace, just on the grass. And as I put my foot down on the grass, my brain just, as like your brain does sometimes, it just turned around and went, "We are but a blip," and that was it. And you just go, "Yeah, yeah, no, we are okay." It's just like walking along on the grass, talking to myself. Like, oh yeah, no, I know, I do agree with you. We are in time, in space, and
Yeah.
on whatever journey this is, for as long as this journey lasts, it really is the blink of an eye. For
It is.
us, for the animals as well, they're shorter term here than we are. We get technically, if we're healthy, we get longer,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's still a blip. We're tiny in
Yes,
comparison to it all.
yes, but that's the beauty, going back to our animal friends, that our soul is living from soul span, and so are they. So again, they're not living from that place of like, oh, not living as long as the humans, or I'm only going to live till I'm six. They are in that space of a blip. I am just experiencing. I'm just in, and then I'm out. Oh, and then I'm just in, and so
Yeah.
the time of soul, because it's sacred, is it's the time of like the speed of the trees growing, or the stuff. It's the sacred time, which is not the thinking time. And when we can even fall back into that just for a blip, it's these little breadcrumbs. These little breadcrumbs. I go, okay, I'm going to start to follow this path, and we get more clarity and more clarity and more clarity. And as I say, if I could bottle that up, that's where I just dream for all of us to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. Well, do you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure listening to you, as it was the first time we chatted as well. Like, it really is just so lovely, and I hope at some point that I actually get the chance to meet you in person because I think you're just absolutely fascinating. And I will put all of Isla's details because Isla works in many different ways, but obviously definitely with the spirit world, with the animal friends. She's got 2 books, isn't it? Not just Tongue Sealer,
Books, yeah.
2
Yes.
books, yeah. You know, there are many, many ways to work with her, to just look into her, to listen further to her. So I'll put all of her details into the bio of the episode so that you can link up if you feel sort of like that affinity, that pull towards working with her. And you can get in touch directly because you have a lot of wisdom to share,
Thank
yours
you.
as well as what is channeled through you. So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's a lot. It is a lot, isn't it? You know, it must be quite hard for you to kind of narrow it all down at times because that's a lot of information to be holding, your own beliefs and everything else, as well as what's being given to you and told to you.
Thank you so, so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and joy, and yeah, it's just appreciation to be asked to be on your podcast. I really appreciate your time and invitation to be here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, I really appreciate you coming and it's been beautiful. So, guys, we're going to leave you now. But until next time, take care of yourselves. And if you need anything, you know where we are. Bye.
Many blessings.